In October 2022, the body of 17-year-old Emily Parker was discovered in the basement of the Willow Falls High Athletic Complex in Pennsylvania. The shocking discovery sent ripples of fear through the quiet town, but the investigation that followed revealed a far more sinister tale of jealousy, betrayal, and forbidden love. The chain of events had begun months earlier at Willow Falls High School, where Emily's secret affair with star quarterback Ryan Taylor and the dark suspicions of his girlfriend, Madison Reed, set the stage for a tragedy that would devastate the community. On October 23, 2022, a chilly Sunday morning, Walter Harris, the janitor at Willow Falls High School, began his usual rounds in the deserted athletic complex. The cheerleading squad and football team had just returned from a late-night away game, and the grounds were eerily quiet. As Walter swept the concrete stairs of the bleachers, a peculiar metallic smell wafted through the air. It was faint at first, but as he neared the basement entrance, it grew stronger. Walter hesitated. He had been working at the school for over a decade, and he knew that smell. It was blood. The janitor opened the heavy basement door and immediately felt a wave of dread. The room was dimly lit, the flickering fluorescent bulb casting long shadows on the damp walls. There, in the corner of the room, lay a bundle wrapped in a blood-stained football jersey. Walter's hands trembled as he stepped closer, the faint outline of a lifeless body becoming clearer. He gasped in horror when he recognized the unmistakable blonde hair of Emily Parker, Willow Falls High's shining star cheerleader. Her delicate wrists bore deep bruises, her neck showed signs of strangulation, and her wide, lifeless eyes stared at the ceiling. Above her head, scrawled in jagged red letters on the wall, was the phrase, "Love kills." Walter stumbled back, nearly slipping on the blood-slick floor, and fumbled for his phone. His voice quivered as he called 911, describing the horrific scene. Within minutes, the area was swarming with police cars, their flashing lights illuminating the grim discovery. The town of Willow Falls was about to unravel. By 10:30 a.m., detectives Rachel Morgan and Mark Daniels arrived at the scene. Rachel, a seasoned investigator with a reputation for relentless focus, surveyed the crime scene with a heavy heart. The sight of Emily's lifeless body and the haunting message on the wall left no doubt in her mind. This was not a random attack. This was personal. Mark, her younger and more impulsive partner, stood by her side, his expression grim as he took in the unsettling details of the scene. The bruises on Emily's wrists, the streaks of blood on the floor, and the calculated message painted a chilling picture of a crime rooted in deep emotional ties. Emily Parker had been the heartbeat of Willow Falls High School. As the captain of the cheerleading squad, she was adored by students and staff alike. She had an infectious laugh and a radiant smile that could light up any room. But behind her seemingly perfect life lay vulnerabilities. Emily's parents had divorced when she was 10, and her relationship with her distant father had left her yearning for validation. This insecurity often drove her to seek comfort in others, sometimes in ways that led to trouble. The detectives quickly learned about Emily's secret relationship with Ryan Taylor, the star quarterback of the football team and the pride of Willow Falls. Ryan's life appeared just as perfect as Emily's on the surface. With his dazzling smile and easy charm, he was the kind of young man parents wanted their daughters to date. Colleges were lining up to offer him scholarships, and the entire town looked to him to lead the team to their next championship. But Ryan carried a heavy burden. His father, a former football star turned bitter coach, pushed him relentlessly to be the best. He was also locked in a strained and controlling relationship with Madison Reed, the head cheerleader. Madison was the queen of Willow Falls High, a striking, ambitious girl with a sharp temper. She was fiercely possessive of Ryan. Their relationship, riddled with public arguments and whispered rumors, had been rocky for months. Witnesses from the previous night confirmed that Emily had been at the stadium after returning from the away game, and Ryan had also been seen lingering near the locker rooms. The two were known to share stolen moments away from prying eyes. But Emily's closest friends revealed something new. Madison had begun to suspect the affair. She had overheard Madison threatening Emily during practice, warning her to stay away from Ryan. As the detectives pieced together Emily's recent movements, another name emerged: Caleb Hunter. Caleb was Ryan's childhood friend and the team's reliable wide receiver. He had harbored an unspoken crush on Emily for years. Friends described how Caleb's admiration for her had grown into jealousy as he watched her choose Ryan over him. Recently, Caleb and Ryan's once unbreakable bond had shown signs of strain. On the night of the murder, a teammate mentioned seeing Caleb walking alone near the stadium after midnight, his face clouded with anger. Rachel couldn't ignore the tangled web of relationships surrounding Emily. The toxic mix of love, jealousy, and betrayal created a long list of potential suspects, each with their own motive. As the investigation deepened, one thing became clear. Beneath the polished surface of Willow Falls lay secrets darker than anyone could have imagined. As the investigation unfolded, the depth of the secrets surrounding Emily Parker's life came into sharper focus. The detectives discovered that her relationship with Ryan Taylor had begun months earlier during a late-night party at the home of a football team booster. It had been one of those quintessential high school gatherings, music blaring, bonfires crackling, and the scent of cheap alcohol in the air. That night, Emily had wandered away from the chaos and found herself sitting alone on a porch swing, staring into the quiet darkness. Ryan, fresh from another fight with Madison Reed, had noticed her and joined her. Their conversation began innocently, but as the night stretched on, a deeper connection formed. Emily spoke of the pressures she faced as the captain of the cheerleading squad, the weight of always appearing perfect, and the loneliness that came with it. Ryan confided in her about the relentless expectations from his father and the strain of his volatile relationship with Madison. Under the cover of night, their mutual understanding grew into something more. That single conversation became the foundation of a dangerous bond. By midsummer, their secret meetings had become a regular occurrence. They would sneak away during football practices and cheerleading rehearsals, finding secluded spots around town where no one would see them. Their connection was intoxicating but fraught with tension. Madison's suspicions had grown, and her possessive nature drove her to monitor Ryan's every move. She began noticing the subtle glances and quiet moments between him and Emily, fueling her anger. At the same time, Caleb Hunter's feelings for Emily were becoming more evident. Friends recounted how Caleb's usual easygoing demeanor had shifted. He had grown distant from Ryan, and his once cheerful attitude had been replaced with a quiet bitterness. Caleb's jealousy festered as he watched the girl he had silently loved fall for his best friend. The tension reached a boiling point in the weeks leading up to Emily's death. Witnesses reported seeing heated arguments between Ryan and Madison during school events. Madison's temper, well known among her peers, became more explosive. In one instance, she publicly accused Emily of trying to steal Ryan, an accusation that Emily had denied, but which only fueled Madison's suspicions. The detectives also uncovered troubling behavior from Caleb. Text messages retrieved from Emily's phone revealed Caleb's unspoken longing for her. In one message sent just weeks before her death, Caleb lamented that Ryan didn't deserve her and hinted that he could treat her better. Friends described how Caleb had been seen walking alone near the athletic complex on the night of the murder, his face tense and filled with anger. His presence near the scene added another layer of complexity to the case. As Rachel and Mark reviewed the evidence, they realized the murder was not the result of a single motive, but a perfect storm of emotions. Love, jealousy, betrayal, and anger had created a volatile environment, leaving Emily caught in the middle. The investigation was far from over, but the secrets of Willow Falls were beginning to surface piece by piece. By late afternoon on October 23rd, the detectives began reconstructing the timeline of Emily's final hours. Witnesses confirmed that the team bus had returned to Willow Falls High School around midnight. Most of the students had left quickly, eager to get home after the late-night game, but Emily had stayed behind, claiming she needed to retrieve something from the locker room. Security footage showed her entering the athletic complex alone at 12:15 a.m. At 12:20 a.m., Ryan's truck was spotted pulling into the school parking lot on footage from a nearby gas station. When questioned earlier, Ryan had claimed he went straight home after the game. The footage contradicted his statement, placing him at the scene within minutes of Emily's arrival. When confronted, Ryan admitted he had gone to meet Emily that night, but insisted their meeting was brief and that she was alive when he left. Witnesses also reported seeing Caleb Hunter walking near the stadium shortly after midnight. His erratic behavior leading up to that night had already drawn suspicion, and his presence near the scene added another layer to the tangled web of events. Caleb, however, denied seeing Emily that night, claiming he was simply out for a walk to clear his head after the game. Another breakthrough came when Madison Reed's fingerprints were discovered on a blood-stained football jersey found near Emily's body. The evidence placed her at the scene, but Madison insisted she had only been in the locker room earlier in the evening and denied any involvement in Emily's death. Her alibi, however, was shaky, and her escalating threats toward Emily in the weeks prior only deepened the detectives' suspicions. As the pieces of the puzzle began falling into place, the detectives uncovered a crucial detail. One of Emily's close friends revealed a chilling conversation they had with her just days before the murder. Emily had confided that she feared someone had been following her. She described seeing a figure lurking near her house late at night and receiving a series of anonymous notes warning her to stay away from Ryan. The notes, written in angry, scrawled handwriting, hinted at a volatile jealousy that had turned dangerous. The detectives now faced a web of conflicting stories and circumstantial evidence. Ryan's lies, Madison's fingerprints, and Caleb's jealousy all pointed to possible motives. But as Rachel and Mark dug deeper, they realized the truth might be even more complicated than they had initially believed. Emily's death wasn't just the result of a single act of rage. It was the culmination of months of simmering tensions and hidden agendas. As the investigation progressed, the detectives braced themselves for the shocking revelations that lay ahead. On November 15, 2022, Madison Reed was arrested in connection with Emily Parker's murder. The forensic evidence, including her fingerprints on the football jersey and strands of her hair found on Emily's jacket, was damning. Combined with witness testimonies about her escalating threats and volatile behavior, the case against her appeared strong. Madison initially denied any involvement, but under intense questioning, her facade began to crack. She admitted to being in the athletic complex that night, but maintained that she hadn't intended to harm Emily. On the night of October 22, 2022, Emily Parker had stayed behind in the locker room after the football team's late-night return from an away game. She claimed to be retrieving a personal item, but in reality, she was waiting to meet Ryan Taylor. Security footage showed her entering the athletic complex at 12:15 a.m. and Ryan arriving just 5 minutes later. They met near the locker rooms, where their conversation became heated. Emily and Ryan were unaware that Madison Reed had followed them to the athletic complex. Consumed by jealousy, Madison had seen them together earlier that evening and had decided to confront Emily once and for all. Hidden in the shadows, she overheard their conversation. Ryan had confessed his feelings for Emily, but Emily, knowing the risks, told him they couldn't continue their relationship. Frustrated and angry, Ryan stormed out of the complex at 12:25 a.m., leaving Emily alone. Moments later, Madison emerged from the shadows, her rage boiling over. She confronted Emily, accusing her of ruining her relationship with Ryan and destroying everything she had worked for. Emily tried to defend herself, pleading with Madison to understand, but her words only fueled Madison's anger. Their argument escalated, and Madison, unable to control her emotions, attacked Emily. The struggle was brief but brutal. Madison's hands closed around Emily's neck, and in a fit of uncontrollable rage, she ended her rival's life. In the aftermath, Madison panicked. She staged the scene to divert suspicion, wrapping Emily's body in a football jersey and scrawling "Love kills" on the wall with her blood. She believed the message would lead investigators to suspect Ryan, who had a clear motive. Madison left the complex, convinced she had covered her tracks. However, her plan began to unravel quickly. Forensic evidence placed Madison at the scene, and witness statements about her escalating threats toward Emily only strengthened the case against her. When detectives confronted her with the evidence, Madison initially denied everything, but eventually broke down during questioning, admitting to her role in Emily's death. The trial began on January 10, 2023, drawing widespread attention from the Willow Falls community. Madison's defense team argued that her actions were the result of emotional turmoil rather than premeditation. They painted her as a young woman pushed to the edge by betrayal and heartbreak. Her lawyers claimed she had confronted Emily that night to demand answers about her relationship with Ryan, and things had spiraled out of control in the heat of the moment. The prosecution, however, presented a chilling narrative of Madison's calculated jealousy and obsessive behavior. They detailed how she had stalked Emily in the weeks leading up to the murder and sent her threatening notes warning her to stay away from Ryan. Forensic experts testified about the evidence linking Madison to the scene, while friends and classmates recounted incidents where her temper had flared in public. The most damning testimony came from Ryan himself, who admitted under oath to the affair and described Madison's possessiveness and growing paranoia. As the trial progressed, shocking details about Madison's mental state emerged. A court-appointed psychologist testified that she exhibited signs of narcissistic personality disorder, characterized by an inflated sense of self-importance and an inability to handle rejection. This revelation offered some insight into her actions, but did little to absolve her of guilt. The jury deliberated for 3 days before reaching a verdict. On February 3rd, 2023, Madison Reed was found guilty of second-degree murder and sentenced to 25 years in prison. The courtroom was filled with a heavy silence as the judge handed down the sentence. Madison's once polished appearance was a stark contrast to the brutality of her crime, and the impact of her actions reverberated through the community. For Ryan Taylor, the trial marked the end of a chapter that had destroyed his once promising future. He withdrew from public life, abandoning his dreams of playing college football. Caleb Hunter, too, struggled to move on, haunted by guilt and his own role in the events that had unfolded. As for Willow Falls, the tragedy left scars that would take years to heal. The athletic complex, once a symbol of pride and community, became a haunting reminder of the darkness that had consumed their town.